Hi. We're back with life lesson number 2. And the topic for today is self-love and what I've learned about it. So self-love, I used to think it was more about like taking care of yourself, eating well, treating yourself to things, food, or whatever. But what I really learned was that self-love is more than that, and it's about acknowledging the thoughts and feelings that you're having. Now this was a really important realization for me because, you know, in society, it was more acceptable to, or it is more acceptable to only show the positive emotions or to appear that way. And because of that, I had developed like some sort of subconscious ideas that the negative emotions is completely wrong and that I shouldn't feel it, or if I do feel it, that I should pretend they don't exist, or just fluff it over with like some positive thoughts or just ignore them. And the thing is that this always kind of bothered me because it always made me feel like I was rejecting a part of myself and I wasn't being true to myself. And if I couldn't accept the negative parts of myself, then I felt like a big fake. So having said that, it doesn't mean that now I should go around expressing the negative side and feel like, yeah, if I don't, I'm denying myself. Because at the end of the day, yeah, it's not great to impose, you know, negative emotions on others. I mean, you wouldn't like it done to yourself, why would you do it on others? But the important thing is that to acknowledge it for yourself, you know, and with yourself, and that's the only person who really needs to understand it and acknowledge it at the end of the day. So how do I learn to acknowledge my emotions, and above all and thoughts, and to let them go without them causing chaos in my life? Okay, so the first thing, to be aware of what's happening. You know, so for example, with thoughts, if I find that the thoughts are going crazy or whatever, just being aware that I'm really in my thoughts and they're just going crazy is the first step. And then secondly, labeling the thoughts helps to sort of create a bigger distance. So just by saying like, okay, I'm having thoughts that are worried. The other thing is like, if you still can't sort of unglue yourself from those thoughts because you're just so in them, I found a trick which really helps, is that to use your other senses, like for example, like I will listen to sounds. So I wouldn't like not label it like, okay, if a car goes by, I wouldn't be like, yeah, that's a car going by. I would like listen for the sound, like, okay, this sounds like sort of like a, you know, a staccato type of horn or something, you know, sound, or I'd look around and I would just really focus on my surrounding and just be like, okay, that's a leaf, and okay, how is the leaf formed? Look at the symmetry or something, you know, just really like focusing on that. And you'll see that really will help you to unglue yourself from your thoughts. And with the emotions, it's a similar process. Label the emotion, like, what are you feeling? Okay, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling scared. And then you, after you've labeled it, you notice the sensation. So, okay, so I'm feeling scared. So what's happening in my body when I feel scared? And for me, when I feel scared, I notice that this area, I feel it a lot here. There's sort of like a cloggy sensation. And then I notice my shoulder blades are up and stiff, And also like my neck, the back of my necks are like really, really stiff. So then what I can do then is that once I'm aware of it, is like, okay, I'll just be like, deep breathe and see what the sensation is like, or lower my shoulders and then see what happens and with the emotions. And then what I'll find is that, okay, I'm able to feel the emotion more easily. And then I can just sit with the emotion better and more comfortably, and then just watch it and just allow it to be until it dissipates. And then after you sort of created a space between you and your thoughts and you and your emotions, the biggest thing is now to disidentify with them. So what I mean by disidentification is realizing that you are not your thoughts. So if you're thinking in a negative way, it does not mean that you're a negative person. If you're feeling in a negative way, it does not mean that that's who you are. You're a sad person, you're an angry person. No, it's just an emotion that just needs to be felt and released above all. Because that's the most important thing about these emotions and thoughts, is that all they want is just to be acknowledged and you let go. And then you can go about your life, and it really is, it's not a showstopper, because now I don't need to be scared of my emotions anymore, nor do I need to be scared of my thoughts anymore, because now I've gained control. Like, the thoughts aren't owning me and my emotions aren't owning me. I'm able to, because I'm created a detachment and I've disidentified with it. Now I'm able to sort of choose how I want to act and which way I want to go. So those are the steps on like how to create space. Now, what happens like when you feel really intensely about a certain emotion and you can't get out of it? Before I tell you about some of the tools that I work on, I also want to address something that's quite important. So for people who have trauma in their life, I read there are like 4 doctors that I found: Dr. Bessel Van Der Kolk, Peter Levine, Dr. Martinez, and Gabor, who really, I really recommend that you YouTube these or find their books and read about them, because they discuss in detail what trauma is and what you're like when you're a trauma sufferer. So just to touch briefly on that without infringing on their specialty, the trauma is held in your body, it's not in your mind. So you can't sweet talk your body into releasing it. Trauma is really felt viscerally, and even though, sometimes if you might find that, okay, you say you're feeling really unsafe, you're in an environment and you're scared completely and you feel like running, but you're looking around and you're thinking, well, actually there's nothing to run away from, everything is fine, and I don't know why I'm having this feeling, but I really just want to run, and it's so real. And that's because your body is stuck in time from an event that happened in the past that's kept you in that way. So to release that trauma, they talk about several modalities. And Dr. Bessel Van Der Kolk, he talks about one of them is yoga. Because yoga teaches you to feel your body, because what happens with trauma is like your brain and your mind and your body separate. So in order to heal the body, viscerally, your body needs to also feel safe viscerally, So to do that, yoga helps to teach you how to be in your body. And also, like, some of the positions are uncomfortable, so it's important to acknowledge, okay, this position's uncomfortable, and to know what sensations are coming up. Okay, when you're in a certain pose, like, okay, it feels uncomfortable because I'm feeling stretched in this direction. Or what I found that when I'm in certain positions or poses, I feel I in the beginning when I was starting yoga, it was I felt quite emotional. Like I noticed that, you know, I would feel strong emotions come up. So and that's where it's, you know, you really learn how to know that your body has its own brain. And the other thing, Dr. Peter Levine talks about, is somatic experience. When you're in trauma, you're in a fight or flight. And in order to get out of it, you need to really feel the full sensations of that flight or fight emotion. And what humans do is when they're in that trauma, they don't fully go through that completion process. They get stuck. So somatic experiencing is about how to fully go through that, because once you release that, complete that process that got stuck in time, that's when it's gone and you can move on with your life. So now that I said that, one of the tools that I really helped me with dealing with like intense feelings, or when I'm feeling like really anxious or really scared, is the gym. And it's amazing because the gym used to be something that was like, I used to go to aesthetically, you know, for, you know, aesthetic reasons, but now I've come to see it as like a healing tool, as like you know, to release these or to complete anything that's this fight or flight thing. So for example, like what I would do is like I would use the treadmill, and when I'm feeling scared or anxious, I would imagine that I'm running away from that, and I would run like hell. And but I wouldn't create the story, I would just feel the feeling in my body, just like I'm running. And then what's happening is that as I'm running, it starts to feel like I start automatically to feel empowered, like, okay, I'm getting away from it, you know, and or I want to fight, and I'll be like, okay, getting that aggression through, like I'll run faster or harder and stuff. And that really, you know, so what's happening is that I am on a visceral level meeting the needs of my body to complete or to release that emotion that's stuck. So, and then afterwards it feels amazing, and it's just a really powerful thing, and I really, you know, recommend you doing that. And the other thing with for disidentification and stuff, to help you to see who you really are, again, yoga and meditation. Because when you meditate, that really, you know, what I do when I'm meditating is like, in the beginning when you're trying to calm yourself down, you do the breathing, you relax, but you'll have a barrage of thoughts, and that's fine, you allow the thoughts. But what I'll do is I'll visualize, I'll acknowledge the thought come in, I'll, you know, label it, and then I'll just imagine like like there's a bubble forms around it, and then I'll watch it just like float away. So another thought comes in, and then like a bubble forms around it, and I'll just watch it float away. And just by doing this, as a thought comes in and stuff, then I'll get to a place where it's just quiet, and then it's just, I'm in this space and there's complete darkness, and I'm just in this void. And then I use like Dr. Joe Dispenza sort of method, where he's like, you know, focus, be aware of the space that's around you, and go deeper into the darkness and things. And what I found is that when I do that, then you really get to see who you really are. Actually, what I realized was that I was a big nothing. And it was the most liberating feeling in the world, because then I saw that, okay, so now I'm not identified with anything. So now I'm really free, and I would just feel myself float away or floating into the darkness, and I would just enjoy the sensation or whatever and stuff. So that's, at the end, that's the big thing that I realize is like, when you disidentify with things and you realize that what people say, positive or negative, is not, if you don't take it on board and attach to it, which causes all of this crazy fears and things, and you just appreciate whatever they say, you know, as you can take it on board as a feeling of love, or you can take it on board as a way to grow, a criticism that you want to take on board and to help you, okay, to process that in your body as well, to be like, okay, they're saying something that actually I am identifying with it myself, so let me release this. You feel amazing. You feel like you feel really free. You feel like you can face anything and not be scared, or even like just if someone says something that you don't identify, then you're just like, cool, and you walk by because yeah, you don't identify with it. So this was a longer video than I planned and hoped, but I just really wanted to get across something that's quite important, and cover quite a deep topic, and try to keep it as short. So anyways, I'll be quiet now. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope that really helps, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.